In this video, I'm going to show you how to detect outliers in your data using Excel. The first step, we are going to calculate quartiles. The second step, we are going to calculate the upper limit and the lower limit of our data. So anything above the top limit is going to be an outlier, and anything lower than the lowest limit is going to be an outlier. Finally, we are going to evaluate the results after we calculate them. Here is the return data for Value Mutual Fund over the years. First, we are going to calculate the first quartile, then the third quartile, and then we are going to calculate the interquartile range. This is going to allow us to determine upper limit and the lower limit of our data. First, type equal sign. Then you are going to start typing quartile. The first argument is the array or your data. Highlight your data, and then comma. And then you see a little dialog box pop up. It gives us some option. We choose the first quartile and then close the parentheses and then hit enter. Now we know the first quartile. Let's get the third quartile. Same steps. Equal sign, quartile, open the parentheses, highlight the data, and now comma, and this time the third quartile, and then close the parentheses. The interquartile range is the difference between third quartile and the first quartile. Third quartile minus the first one. Now you have the interquartile range. So what does that allow us to do? That allows us to calculate upper limit of our data and the lower limit of our data. So how do we do that? Go to the upper limit part. We take our highest value, which is our third quartile, and then we add that to 1.5 times our interquartile range. And then hit enter. Then we get the upper bound limit of our data. Now we want to get the lower limit of our data. We are going to take our lowest quartile. Equal sign, take that one, minus 1.5 times the interquartile range. So now we get our lower limit. And now we know anything higher than the upper bound is going to be outlier. And also anything lower than the lower limit is going to be outlier as well. Next, we will use a logical function to tell us if these values fall above our upper bound or lower than our lower bound. So let's use the OR function, equal sign and OR. Our first logical argument is if this value is greater than our upper limit, and our second logical value is the same value lower than our lower limit, and close the parentheses. And we know that this first value is not an outlier, therefore the logical function results in false. You want to drag this formula down, but before that we need to make sure that these two cells are fixed. If you drag down this formula without fixing these two cells, then these two cells are going to change. So we use F4 to fix the cells. Now we can drag down the formula. When there is an outlier, the logical function results in a true value. As you see here, we have one true value because it's lower than our lower limit.